Hello and welcome to Equipping Women. Tonight I am joined by the lovely Leah McCammon. Leah and John Paul, JP, known by most of us. You guys have been here at Buck Run since like 2017?
That's
All right.
right.
And we're grateful. We're grateful to have you. JP is part of our worship team here. He plays the bass. Is that what it
Yeah.
is? Do you play other instruments?
No, just the
Oh,
base.
well, he's amazing. And I'm
Yeah.
grateful that he's in. They have two kids, Atticus and Helen. And I have to ask, is Atticus from To Kill a Mockingbird? That's
Yes,
awesome.
yes,
And
absolutely.
Helen, is this?
After my grandmother,
Okay.
and John Paul's grandmother
Okay, they're
also.
both like Greek-based names.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That was neat. Well, so tonight, Leah is joining us. They serve out at crossings. They also serve out there with our kids are serving, where our kids are serving. But they have a passion, and now they're pursuing fostering. So I'm going to say something because I know some of you are going, well, this probably isn't something that's on my radar at this time and personal consideration for this in the season of life that we're in. But I'm going to ask you to just hang with us for the simple pleasure of learning about fostering, and you'd be surprised some of the things that you will discover, I'm sure. And at the end, we're going to come around and hopefully have some ways that we can help you guys, and then just people in general who are either pursuing fostering or are in the middle of fostering, how we can be a blessing and take that on, and how we can help children in foster care. So let's just assume that most folks don't know much about fostering, what that actually will look like. The only thing I do know about it, and North American Mission Board does foster care through a compassion ministry, and so it's really sweet. But one of the things that I sort of have statistic facts that they throw up there, and in Kentucky, right now we're at about 10,000 kids that are in foster care, and so what I do know, with that many, there's not enough foster homes.
Right.
So let's move right into why or how did you guys get attracted to this? What made you all think about entering fostering children, you and JP?
Yeah. We had, when we were engaged, we knew, like, oh, we're definitely wanting to adopt. We wanted to grow our family. And we wanted to have biological children, wanted to adopt. We just thought this is a biblical mandate to care for orphans and widows.
It is.
And this is a way that we can do this. And then as we looked into it, just being honest, adoption is incredibly expensive. But you can go through the foster care system and adopt through the foster care system pretty inexpensively. And then through our training, which I'd be happy to talk more about later, we realized the need for foster care, and our hearts changed for foster care we'd be definitely willing to adopt a child if they came available, but that's not the goal anymore. And so we, just through that process of knowing, like, this is biblically mandated, we also know all lives are precious.
Yeah.
Like, we're all made in God's image. And so these children who need a safe place to land for a little while their parents figure some things out, like, we can be that safe place for them. We can share the gospel with the children and the parents. And so this is our practical action of our conviction
Right.
to
Right.
to be able to care for these children.
Yeah, I think one of the passage that you're talking about in James, where it's talking about caring for widows and orphans, I think we miss such a big window of opportunity in both of those things. But since we're talking about orphans and just children in general, it's like we like, I can look at my life and go, well, I'm aged out of that, but that doesn't mean that I don't get an opportunity in some way to be a blessing, encouragement, and a help. And later, I hope you'll help us know how we can do,
Yeah,
how we can
definitely.
help, and what that might look like. But foster care, one of the unique things I think about that is what they intend to do with children. And there's all ages and stages. Do you get to set like a age frame of what you prefer, like the age group you want to target? Do you do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
they actually in your when you turn in your paperwork to the state, which it's just like 2 mountains worth of paperwork, they ask you all kinds of questions about the type of children, the age of children, how many children, all those things. They'll ask you what you'd be willing to take. And so we have set it in birth order. So Atticus is 4, Helen is 2, almost 3. And so right now we'd be willing to take 2 and under.
Okay.
And then as our children age, we'd be willing to take older children.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but it goes all the way up. Like they can go all the way up through. They age out. Like, what do you think? Like 18?
18, yeah. They age out at 18, which is, there's a huge need for teenagers.
Yeah. Like
to
I
care
think
for
I read,
teenagers.
just in searching up stuff for this, I think that I've read somewhere it's between 6 years old and 16 is like the biggest window of needs for like
Yes.
kids. And I don't know if that's specifically to Kentucky or just in general across the map. But what they're wanting to do with foster care is give those children the least amount of disruption of home life and community that they can possibly do in a transition time. So, okay, so Leah, walk us through the process that you and JP have been up through this point towards welcoming a kid, a child into your home.
Yeah.
What's that look like for us?
So our first initial, we had wanted to we wanted to foster. And we were trying to figure out, when's the right time? We got to wait for our kids to get older, waiting for all these things. And, who really helped us see that this was time was Charlotte. She was just so impactful in us choosing to start now.
Yeah.
Because I asked her, she's caring for her nephews and her niece right
Because
now.
she's got three.
Yes.
3 kids. And how old is Charlotte? Do you?
Charlotte is 31.
Okay. All right.
31.
So she's a single woman.
Yes.
She goes to university, and she's caring for 3 of her siblings' kids.
Yes, yes. And she, at the time, I said, well, what made you say yes? Because this, like, you were at school full time, you're
Right.
working full time, and you're single. So now you're taking 3 children.
Right.
And at that time, they were all under the age of 4 when she first took them on. And so she said, I had nothing, had absolutely nothing to give them. Except the gospel. And I could share that with them. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
we're doing this. And
Right.
so Charlotte was a huge catalyst for us to start now. And so the process since then has been, we found an agency. You can just Google foster care in whatever county you're in, whatever state you're in, and then they'll pop up a list of agencies that you can go through. And we chose Orphan Care Alliance because they do state certified training through a biblical perspective. And so they would, so we did an informational meeting, which basically tries to talk you out of it. It tells you it's going to be hard.
Right. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, this is going to be really hard. It's going to be emotionally hard on you. It's already hard on these children because they're being removed from the only home that they know, and then they're coming to you.
Right.
And so they tell you about the trauma that children go through, even just being removed from their home is traumatic for them. They tell you about how children respond to that, like the behavioral issues. And so I think we had talked about earlier, people thought like, oh, these are bad kids
Right.
from bad homes. And that's not the case. They just don't know how to respond.
Right.
And so we can help them learn how to respond. So this informational meeting is very helpful, very eye-opening, and tells you up front that whatever expectations you have, just hold them very loosely because everything's going to be different
Right.
than what you think it will be like.
So that's with so you and your husband. They come into your home, or you go?
We went
Okay.
to a church.
Okay,
So actually
okay.
they offer those
Okay.
classes here at Buck Run.
Okay.
Normally, right now they're over Zoom.
Right. Okay.
And I think they're offering one on the 6th of October
All right.
over Zoom, if anyone's interested.
Okay. Yeah, we can maybe put a link up or something
okay.
or comment later.
Yeah, for
when
sure.
we do this.
Okay. So, yeah, we had met at a church and they offered this informational meeting, and at the end, if you were still interested in doing foster care, they gave you a big stack of paperwork to fill out and turn in. And then after that, you sign up for more training sessions in, through Orphan Care Alliance. I'm not sure about other agencies, but through Orphan Care Alliance, they offered 2 7.5-hour classes, and they just laid everything out on the table from like how can you discipline, what to expect, even those things are
Fluid.
to be
Yes, you don't know.
absolutely
Yeah,
fluid.
right.
Yes,
You don't know what to expect, right?
exactly. The state worker will come and help you to like work through billing. They help you understand. I felt way more prepared, even though I did not know what to expect.
Right.
So the training is incredibly helpful. And even if you, at the end of all that, you decide, oh, foster care, I don't know if I am ready for that, you could still qualify for respite care, which is taking someone's foster child over a weekend
Okay.
or something like that. So that's really a wonderful thing that people can do too. And so we did those hours of training, and then we had our second mountain of paperwork. You have to get physicals.
Okay.
You get physicals. They go through your credit report. They come to your house. They can go through all your cabinets. You have to like show them how you've organized your home in a safe way for these children. And so you really open yourself up
Right.
to this state, which is good. Like
Yeah.
we wanted to have these children in our home, but it is quite a process.
Yeah. Well, so do most people who enter into like being a fostering parent, do you think they enter in with the perspective of we hope to adopt, or is it something that people will cycle through in their life? Do you know, like they'll cycle through children? Do you know that?
I don't know how
You're-
most people
Okay, for
are.
you,
Yeah.
your intent is to one day adopt via the foster care system.
Yes, if a child comes available.
Uh-huh.
So through this training process, our hearts have really changed from we're like trying to save these kids.
That's a good word.
Yeah, because there's one
Right.
greater than me.
Absolutely.
and that's
right.
who they need. And
That's
so
right. That's right.
We, through this process, we have really changed. Our hearts have been changed by the Lord, and we want these children to be with their parents.
Yeah.
And so we want to advocate for these children and give them a safe place to go, but we also want to care and love their parents.
Right.
Because they need the gospel too.
Right.
And so it's not us versus them. It's like we want to be the parents' champion and care for their children. And hopefully they will be a family again. That was God's design
Right. Right.
for families to stay together.
So you're able to stand back and see a bigger picture and a
Yeah.
bigger perspective of what possibly God may be doing with another home and your home,
Yeah.
using both your homes together. So, all right. So it's so mind-boggling to think of the way it will pull strings on your heart, like a child will come in and you have no guarantee of, is there a set time that they commit to a child being into your home? Like, do they say, okay, well, we're asking you to foster this child for X amount of time? Is that the way it works, or?
It varies from child to child
Okay.
and case to case. Some foster care providers only want to have a child for short term, like
Okay.
like a month to 3 months.
Okay.
And if you do long term, it's like 6 months to as long as it takes.
And you you decide that on the front end, basically
Yes,
what you're
you
wanting.
can tell your social worker when
Okay.
they come to do your home visit
Okay.
that you're interested in either short term or long term or both.
Uh-huh.
And so we're open to both.
Okay. Well, then, all right, let's launch into, from our perspective now. All right, we know you guys are saying, all right, we're willing to use our home. We're willing to bring families into our lives. We're willing to do that. What can you help us brainstorm and know better what to do to help? Like, as you guys foster, what are things that we can do? And then you mentioned our friend Charlotte. Like,
Yeah.
what are helpful guidance for fellow sisters and brothers of the faith that we can just come alongside you? What might that look like for us?
Yeah, that's a great question. Since we haven't had children in our home yet, we actually reached out to all the people we know who foster, because they, most of them are members of churches, and we're like, okay, what can they do? And so they all said pretty much the same thing.
Really?
Yes. And so I was like, oh, this is great.
Okay.
So there's no outliers.
Okay.
So on the real basic level, providing meals and treating it like a brand new baby. So, you know how we set up a meal train?
Right,
And
right,
so,
right.
like, this is a new child coming into our family and into our church, and just the same way we would with any new baby.
Yeah, you're transitioning to another human in your
Right.
house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So providing
Right.
meals is so practical and so helpful, and Buckrun is so good at that, like meeting the needs of their church members and the community around. I love our church so much. They do such a great job with that. Another one is prayer. Like, pray for us, pray for our marriage, pray that this would draw us closer as a family, pray for the hearts of our children. Like, they are so excited. Like,
Yeah.
Atticus asks every day when the new baby is coming.
Yeah.
And so I think it will be hard for us to let them go. It will be heartbreaking to let a baby go, but so just pray that we would be faithful, that we would grieve well, and if there's a court date coming up, pray for that. And we try to be pretty avid about letting our community group know what's going on, and so we will text out when the time comes. We'll text out court dates, and when social workers come to visit, and when we get a new placement and all that. But praying through those things, sending encouraging text messages, or calling, that those things would really speak to us.
Yeah.
And I think another practical thing would maybe be providing like car seats which we have one, but if we got a sibling set, we would need a second car seat. So maybe just even letting borrow those things. So pack and plays, clothing, just in case we can't get there right away to get this child some clothes, or if we don't have their size on hand, maybe
Right.
letting borrow.
Right.
So those are some really hard, practical things. And then I think maybe some more commitment times is getting respite care certified to allow us to be able to go overnight. So we can have anyone babysit as long as we would let them babysit our own children, but we can't leave them more than 24 hours. We can't leave the foster
Okay,
child.
so you're saying somebody has to actually get training to be able to babysit
For long term.
Long term, gotcha.
Yeah,
Right,
for a
for
few
more
days.
than 24. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, to babysit the child who's in our care.
Do you happen to know where you would? How do you know about getting this respite kind of training? Is that
Yeah.
online? You Google it, or?
Yeah, you can Google that. You can go through any of those foster care agencies.
Okay.
So whichever, if you Google them, I love Orphan Care Alliance. I think they're amazing.
Orphan Care Alliance is what it's called. All right.
Yes, yes. And I went to their website yesterday, and they have classes on Zoom.
Okay, well, let's keep it simple and just tell them Orphan Care. Just
Orphan
use
Care
them.
Alliance.
Orphan Care Alliance. Yeah, so that way, if you give us good, tangible things, and we can just narrow it down and go, all right, we can do this kind of training in orders. We can provide longer than 24 hours should you need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so extended care, respite care, you need people to get trained for such a thing.
Yeah,
And
you can either come to our home and care for them, or if you get certified by the state, your home has to also meet
Okay.
those if you want to keep them in your home. So it's a little more intense, right?
It
There's
is.
a little more of a commitment.
Yeah, right.
But it's very helpful. And then honestly, being foster care certified would be really helpful too, to have a group, a community of foster families, because there are some things that once we have a child, we cannot share with the outside community. Things that might be really hard, things that are really more for the child to share, and we don't want to stigmatize the
Right.
child, and so we
Right.
would probably only share them within the foster care community.
Okay.
But it would be great to have a huge community of foster families
Yeah, what we do really well, I think, here at Buck Run is we do adoption really well, and we've done domestic and international, and I think our people have a real heart for that. But this is a really unique bend because this is, of course, you're going to need somebody coming alongside you. You're going to need your community of fellow sisters and brothers to sort of help you carry that load. But what this one does that's unique is it requires people to get training, a little bit of training to sort of help you guys out, unless it's just coming along in a short term kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, why not? Why not just invest? What do you think? 7 hours
I
of
think
training?
it's 6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not
All right.
very long. It's done in a day.
And then you get certified and you're good to go with any fostering parent.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got food, we've got provision of things like, like you said, meal plan, meal train, and then any kind of baby care items or kid items for that matter, and clothing and stuff like that. Anything else you can think of? Prayer, we said
Oh,
prayer.
yeah, definitely
Lots of prayer.
Lots and lots.
On the front end, during, and after,
All the
right?
time.
All of it, all
Yes.
the adjustments of it. Anything else you can
Yes.
think of in that?
I forgot this one. Since some people can babysit just generally, for a
Okay.
few hours, maybe when we have a court date, because it's to keep our biological children, because
Gotcha.
when we have a court date, it's very important for foster families. They're not required to go, but we've heard from other families it's pretty important to be there.
A helpful
So,
thing.
yeah.
Well, I know there are a couple things that I know the North American Mission Board does that helps with like foster care. That's really cool. And you could go to NAMB.net and just pull up the menu and it'll say fostering care. And I don't know if you know about this, but they have something that's called they used to be called Backpack Ministry, but now it's called Duffel Ministry.
Okay.
And what that does that I think is really pretty helpful is when you get children and they are moving a child from a home into another home, a lot of times they don't have the opportunity or luxury to like bag up all their stuff.
It's in a trash bag.
It's in a
They
trash
show
bag.
up with a trash
They
bag.
legit have Walmart bags that
Yeah.
they have a very small amount of things in. And so there is a ministry, this Duffel Ministry, Duffel Bag Ministry is really great in the sense of you pack up a duffel bag filled with age-appropriate, sex-appropriate items for those kids so that when that child is moved from one home to another home, and they're trying to just smoothly transition them to disrupt their life as little as possible, they have a sense of ownership of something that's theirs, and that they're taking that with them basically into that new home. And so I have a dear friend who is also doing the fostering, and she talked about that a little boy had picked up, his was a backpack at the time, and it was his own belonging, and it wasn't in a trash bag. It was his piece of luggage, basically, and how it just gave him a sense of ownership of something and a sense of belonging when he went in. And it's got things in it like underwear, and his was at the time, I remember her saying it was like little kids' character underwear, so boys' character underwear, and he was just like blown away, just how absolutely cool that was. Toothbrush, toothpaste, just all of his own things. And so I think that's really a helpful thing to, if anybody's interested in doing that, because you've got some things on hand, but there will be something, obviously if it's a baby, it would be a different scenario. But let's say as, kids are getting older and they're moving from home to home, that's an incredible ministry to give them their things that they bring with them as they move into a new family and a new home, and they pull in that sense of belonging thing. Well, you're a delight, and what a ministry opportunity. This is something new for me that I had not really been fully, like I watched fostering from a distance. And because Buckaroo does the adoption thing really well, I'm up on that, but I'm not really up on the fostering thing. And so it's given me a new perspective, and I hope it's given our folks out there a new perspective on how we can embrace not a new calling, because this is an old calling, but maybe a new calling, personal calling, to be able to come alongside people who are in Buckaroo. Do you happen to know, I know you've mentioned one. Do you know anybody else in our church that might, you don't have to call them out by name, but do we have others in our church that
I honestly don't know.
you don't know?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
see,
not
this
100%
is
sure.
something that we should know. You
Yeah.
know, so it tells me that we need to do a better job of sort of finding out, you know, how we can come alongside people and knowing that there is a need out there. But we know you guys are in this, and we know even Charlotte is in
Yes.
this. And it's been sweet watching. Recently, Charlotte had a need, and I saw people
Oh,
just
yeah.
come alongside her and with a meal train
Yep.
and just meet those needs. So we want to do that for you guys. And I'm going to put Buckaroo on the line and commit for us and just say,
I
well,
know they'll fill the
they'll
need.
do it.
They'll do
They
it.
will
Yeah.
do it. They will absolutely do it. Well, how can we now pray for you?
Yeah.
What-
Right now, we are just waiting.
Okay, so
COVID kind of put
puts
everything on hold.
It does put it on hold, you know, because the need's still there.
Oh yeah, big
So
time.
you wonder, I wondered,
Yes.
did that override? But it doesn't.
So
puts it-
it just has made everything a little. Everything has taken longer. So children are the way that they investigate children needing to be removed is different. The way that we do paperwork is different. So we are in a very unique situation where you could have gotten certified in 4 months, and we finished our training in February, and we are just waiting on our certificate, our
Okay.
license,
Okay.
and we're literally just waiting for that. So pray that that comes quickly.
Okay, so we're praying that your certificate comes quickly.
Yes.
Do you have like a guesstimate after you get certified? How long that, you don't know?
Yeah, so our social
don't know,
worker said
okay.
it could be 2 hours, and it
Oh,
could
wow.
be like 4 weeks,
Okay,
or it could be
well,
a year. And I was like, oh, a
Okay.
year?
Okay, yeah. It's a big difference, 2 hours
Yeah,
and a year.
Right, yeah. So
Yeah.
that we would wait patiently and expectantly and joyfully, and then pray. So as we pray with our kids for this little person who will come into our lives, we pray for this little Imago Day, and we just call him Emmy,
Yeah,
he or she.
that's great.
Yeah,
That's
so we just
great.
pray for them
Yeah.
because we don't know anything about them, but that the Lord would protect them and that we would say yes and be willing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining
Yeah.
us. Thank you for joining Leah and myself here for stretching our hearts and our brains about foster care and what that might look like. And if any of you all have any kind of questions whatsoever, Leah she'll give you as much help as she can in that, direct you in different places. And tell us again the name of your organization that you're working with.
Orphan Care Alliance.
Orphan Care Alliance. You can also look on the North American Mission Board website, and there are tons of links that will take you there, how to start that process, what it looks like for your state, and hopefully those will be helpful things. And we would love to see other folks get burdened for fostering, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That'd be great. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time on Equipping Women. Bye.